They won't even sniff a wild card game. It's utterly embarrassing for that organization.
Bang, bang,
that smells like Cabo, if you will. Shady, who do you blame and who is to blame for the Niners missing
Smell
the
like
playoffs?
eggnog. The front office. Yeah, the front office for me. I mean, you have a team that's done well for so long under Kyle Shanahan, who's a really good coach. And sometimes you get a little confident, you get a little cocky. Maybe we don't need to pay this guy right away. We can wait. We're going to be in the playoffs. Maybe we'll pay this guy later on. We'll be in the playoffs. We'll be in the NC Championship game. We'll be in the Super Bowl. It didn't happen this time. Think about this for a second. Trent Williams, who we all think is a Hall of Fame player, right? He's older, and he wants a contract. Instead of figuring that out contract-wise, you make him wait, okay? So he comes to training camp not really ready to play. And if you knew that he was going to want a contract, why not draft a young offensive lineman? Knowing you learn from this superstar, Hall of Fame talent, and then you take over. That's how it normally works. Okay, Brandon Ayuk, cool. One of the best wide receivers in the league last year, franchise type of wide receiver. You don't pay him right away. You make him wait. You play this game with him. Thinking that, you know what, we're a good offense. I've won with less. I've been bigger places with less. I can make Brandon Ayuk wait. Yeah. You make him wait, what happens? He comes back super rusty. Yeah. Your quarterback that you think is a $50 to $60 million quarterback, you're going to pay him probably next year. You need him to get his confidence, get him to get right. Well, how can I do that if my best receiver's not there? Debo. I love Debo, right? There was so many question marks. Is he going to be the wide receiver for the future? Are we going to let him go? We're going to trade him? You don't do none of that. And you linger that rumor around, and nothing happens. And you go out there and draft a rookie wide receiver. But now, if Brandon Ayuk was there and Debo was there, now the rookie's not even playing, it didn't make sense. So as I keep going through all these different scenarios, let's go to Greenlaw. Because you love Greenlaw, right?
That's who I am going with, sir.
And as you watch him, I think he is that attitude and that heartbeat to that defense.
Yes, he is.
Obviously, your boy is probably the best linebacker in football, but Fred Warner's probably the best player on the defense. Yeah. But I can see, if you watch him, the physical part of that game is Greenlaw. What did you do to replace him, though? You bring a guy in that wants to quit in the middle of the game and don't want to play? And you talk about this is a Super Bowl type of franchise, NFC Championship bound franchise, and this is what goes on. So we can blame it on the quarterback. We can blame it on injuries. I want to blame it on the front office because if you took time and did everything you're supposed to do, they would not be in this situation. I don't get to Christian McCaffrey, though. Because you knew he was already hurt. You already knew that.
Yeah.
You know who I'll blame it on? I'm going to blame it on the thing that lives inside everyone, unfortunately. The ego. The Niners' egos is what's to blame for
That's part of it, too.
Playoffs. Kyle Shanahan's ego, which said, I know more about defense and defensive coordinators. So, Steve Wilks, although you have the number 3 defense in football, I'm going to fire you and promote a defensive quality control individual. Ego. Ego is what led Deebo Samuel to believing that a long snapper is of less value than him. So, I'm just going to hit the long snapper in the midst of the game. Ego is what led Deebo to take to Twitter to say, hey, it's not that I've fallen off. I'm just not getting the ball. Ego is what led to ownership not paying players what they deserved to be paid. Ego is what led to players not playing because they didn't get paid, and so they felt as though they didn't need to go to training camp. Ego is what has led to the demise of the Niners. Ego is what led the Niners to believing they could get right back to the Super Bowl because they were there the year before. Ego is what led to Devondre Campbell feeling as though he deserved to be in the game when Dre Greenlaw came back. When truth be told, you deserve nothing. You earn everything in the National Football League. Ego exists within every individual on the Niners. It exists within all of us. The problem is ego unchecked, it leads to the demise of every individual. It led to the demise of the Niners. I'm blaming ego for the Niners' downfall.
Check your ego at the door.
Check your ego at the door.
That's Andy Reid's
Got to do it. Check your ego at the door. I don't care about if you're a star player or not. You better check your ego. For me, it's a little bit of a perfect storm of issues, right? You got the contract disputes, which Shady said, Brandon Ayuk and Trent Williams. I really think they let it drag on way too long. That's a huge issue. Those are 2 of your best players on offense. You don't have your left tackle. You don't have your star receiver that you're going to pay. 2 players lost their kids. Not 1. 2 players. Off-field issues. Awful. Ricky Pearsall got shot. Yeah. Like Trent Williams came back and decided to sign because he said, I need to be a leader for this team. Our guy just got shot. Like you guys realize that he got shot, dude. Like that doesn't happen very often. And then all the injuries that you guys said, right? CMC, Greenlaw, Jordan Mason, Trent, Fred playing injured the whole year. I think all that is like a perfect storm of issues that you can't overcome. Now, there's always issues in the locker room. There's always stuff you can blame. I hate the word blame because it's all encompassing. And then if you look at it, right, you got to look at the Super Bowl hangover too. 2019, the next year, 2020, they don't make the playoffs. 2023 Super Bowl. This year, they're not making the playoffs. It's a lot of games. Okay, and you think that you check your ego and you said front office, how are we going to get better from those years? Yeah. We've missed the playoffs in both of our playoff Super Bowl appearances the very next year because we didn't go out and do anything about it. So I think it's just a perfect storm.
That's all good. That's all really good takes because there's a lot that went on with the San Francisco 49ers. For me, it's Dre Greenlaw. I blame him. And it started in the Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl game, when Dre Greenlaw was in that game, the Chiefs had 80 yards and 0 points. When he went out of that football game, they had 25 points and 429 yards when Dre Greenlaw went out. Dre Greenlaw, as much as we want to say about Fred Warner, is the heartbeat of that defense. Brings the physicality, brings the emotion, the leadership, all that. Him and Fred Warner together is probably the best linebacker duo in the National Football League and just truly sets the tone. Coming into the season, with Dre Greenlaw on the field, they 44-19. Without him, they 16-19. And we all know that they're giving up way more points without him. The physicality is not there without him. They're a totally different defense without him. Fred Warner is a totally different player without him. Dre Greenlaw's injury hurt the Niners more than we would ever know, and it started dating back to last year at that Super Bowl when he went out that game. That was the downfall of the San Francisco 49ers, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And in my humble opinion, it led to less physicality, less being the bully. Because even when he came back for that one game when Campbell was mad, we seen like, ooh, the Niners is physical. No, Dre.
Are the Eagles clearly in the league of the best NFC teams we've seen maybe ever? Are the Eagles clearly the best NFC team?
This is crazy.
Don't be a homer.
Clear.
I won't be a homer.
League.
I won't be a homer. Everything else is factual, right? That we all can see with
Let
our
us
eyes.
hear it. Let
Okay.
us-
So first of all, this is going to be this is going to be a sweep, right? If we are up here all doing our jobs, this should be a sweep. All right, so put that in the notes. Okay, so I won't even say anything about the Eagles. I'll just talk about what the Eagles have done. So, number 1 rushing offense, number 1 total defense, number 1 pass defense, number 5 scoring defense, number 6 total offense, number 6 in third down defense, number 8 in scoring offense, number 8 in rushing defense, number 8 in red zone defense, number 5 in most sacks.
For a guy that doesn't like stats.
Well, this is for you guys, right? And the biggest thing is, when you talk about beating playoff teams, we beat playoff teams, right? So if I beat playoff teams, we got one of the best offensive lines in football, probably number 1, the number 1 running back, solid quarterback, top 10, right? Can we say top 10 quarterback? Is that safe?
That's fair.
Cool. Got the number 1 or number 2 wide receiver duos in football, the number 1 defense in football.
Number 1, number 2.
All I'm saying is, what else do you want from us, James?
What more do you want?
So,
from
yes,
me?
I think we are the best team in the NFC. If you had to say the top 3 best teams in the NFC, it's probably the Eagles, the Lions, and Vikings.
Packers?
They haven't beat anybody yet, so I can't say it. But so the Vikings. Well, it was we always say first was the Lions. Then they had all these injuries. I was even saying the Lions at first. All them injuries, it gotta be us. They don't want to see us. They don't want to see us.
But clearly?
Clearly.
You know what? I'll ask you again.
We all said it. We all said it.
So wait, I want to hear y'all answers who y'all pick, and then I want to ask you this though: if them teams played each other though, right? Who would be favorite? And I'm gonna let it go after that.
Favorite?
So whatever y'all pick, whatever team y'all pick, if they play the Eagles, who would be favorite?
Lions,
If the Lions played the Lions in Detroit, Lions probably favorite.
So you telling me with this roster the Lions have, the roster the Lions has right now today, you tell me they'll be favored to beat the Eagles?
I disagree.
Think about how that sounds though.
But here's the thing. The Eagles are the best team in the NFC. Clearly is where I struggle. But they've been the best team in the NFC. But seeing what the Lions continue to do even after they get decimated with injuries, it's still hard to bet against them. They lost David Montgomery, albeit they played the Chicago Bears, still beat the brakes off of them. Ben Johnson is thinking of creative and fun ways to go score touchdowns. They lost Aiden Hutchinson, I think, week 3 or week 4 of the season, still continue to roll and have a top 5 defense in football for the next 5 to 6 or 7 weeks. They lost defensive tackle, still continue to stop the run game. So I know how good the Lions are. The Packers have continued to ascend, even when they lost to the Eagles by 1 possession, lost to the Vikings by 2 points. it's hard for me to say
Lions, to be lost Lions
Lost
twice.
the Lions again.
Get that in there. Get that in there.
Hard for me to say that the Eagles are clearly their best team for sure. When you say clearly, Chase, that's when I struggle.
Before you go, wait, you said that something about the Lions still on defense.
Still look good.
When you watch them on defense, though, right? They don't wear you at all.
1,000% worse.
When you watch the Eagles defense, do they wear you?
Last game,
not as much.
I mean, it's 18 weeks or something like that. You're going to have a bad game. I hate people do that with football. It's football. You're going to lose some, you're going to win some. But overall, when you watch us, we don't like the best defense in football?
Of course.
Okay.
Okay. The Eagles.
Yeah, that'll be good. Don't piss me off today. It's Christmas. Yeah.
The Eagles, the passion come out when the Eagles get on.
I get crazy.
Look, the Eagles are not clearly the best team in the NFC. I think that they are the best team in the NFC, but not clearly. It's not like 20/20 vision.
Yeah, that part.
Okay?
No, it's 2015.
Yeah, it's 2015. It's even clearer. Yeah. It's like 2030 right now, Shady. Look, when you look at the three teams, right, it's Lions, Eagles, Vikings for me, in any order. Now, I think that the Lions would provide the Eagles in a head-to-head matchup, and this is how I took it, a really good game. I don't know if the Eagles win. I quite honestly don't know if Detroit can stop the Eagles. I think it would be like a 45-40 shootout because I do think the Lions offense is like that. Even with Vic Fangio, and I know, I played under him for a few years, love what he's doing. The Eagles seem to me to be two coordinators away from being great, which they got Kellen Moore and they got Vic Fangio. And now look at them, right? Number one offense in rushing, number one defense in total defense. They're playing at an extremely high level. But when I go head-to-head, now, the Vikings are in that category, but it's the Lions and the Eagles for me. If they go head-to-head right now, I think it's going to be a shootout, and quite honestly, I don't know who's going to win. So I can't say clearly.
Yeah, I agree. It's not clear. It's very, very blurry. It's very, very blurry in the NFC.
Blurry.
And the main reason why I say that is because I truly believe that anybody can be beaten in the NFC. Clear is if the Eagles step on the football field, I'm surprised if they lose to some of these playoff teams. In the NFC, I am not surprised any of these teams lose unless the Falcons beat somebody right now in the playoffs. Other than that, I'm not surprised if the Packers beat anybody. I'm not surprised if the Eagles beat anybody, the Lions beat anybody, the Vikings beat anybody, the Rams beating anybody. And the Commanders. I will not be surprised. So to me, the NFC right now is real, real blurry. A lot of these teams in the playoffs are starting to play really good football. Injuries are not. They're starting to play really good football. The NFC is going to be a tough outing in the playoffs. It's real blurry. It's real blurry for me.
Blurry.
I'll ask you this, though, last thing. Right? So Andy Reid taught me when I was 20 years old that matchups are the only thing that matters in football for the offense. If you put the Eagles' matchups on offense, because you want to say that the Vikings defense, right? We're not talking about the
Packers.
Vikings have 40 takeaways.
But you can say that about a lot of teams in the NFC.
But we have the best matchups on both sides of the field.
Okay, go ahead.
So if we go to the Vikings, they got a good passing game, right? The quarterback is unknown, right? He has a good year, but we know who he really is. Good wide receivers. But against the Eagles secondary, we match up well against them.
The thing is, though, the Commanders put up 36 points against y'all. The Lions will put up 50 if the Commanders did that. The Lions are a much better offense than the Commanders.
I think turnovers had a big factor in that, too, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
5.
Quarterback using his legs.
Quarterback, we had a backup quarterback.
You guys...
That matters. All I'm saying is if we doing matchups, so the Eagles offense, Eagles defense, we put us against the Lions. I think we do well against them on both sides of the ball. And then with the Vikings, I'm not even taking the Vikings serious. I'll let Chase talk about them. I'm not going to talk about the Vikings.
What up, YouTube family? Welcome to the facility. Thanks for watching, and you better be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to get more highlights from the show and all of our exclusive content.